Okay, that's weird because my preview camera is showing me still, and I was like, "Oh no, we're gonna have problems right from the beginning." Anyways, it's Inside Leaders' Heads, and Sparkle Lindsay is my guest today. So, welcome, Sparkle.
Hey, Mark, how's it going?
Good. Hey, is that your given name, or did you pick it because it's perfect name for you? You
That is
Sparkle everywhere you go.
that's my given name.
Oh, that's cool. Way to
Yeah,
go, parents! Way to make it happen.
they're the best.
That's cool.
They really are, though. They really are the
Yeah.
best. My parents are.
Yeah, both of mine have passed, but they were pretty darn good parents.
They were the best too, huh?
Yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, my dad died when I was in my mid-teens, and my mom just went a couple years ago. So
Yeah. Okay.
but so anyway, this is Inside Leaders' Heads. I'm Mark Bencover, and this is Sparkle Lindsay. And what we do is Sparkle is a leader, so we invite leaders on this show that I mean, it's my show, so it's kind of selfish and narcissistic. I pick people I like. So I picked Sparkle. Like I said, everywhere she goes, she exemplifies her name. And hey, Marty, my brother. I wonder if that's my brother, Brian. Anyway, for some reason, I can't see who that is. So, a person who said, "Hey, Marty, my brother."
Yeah. Hey.
Identify yourself. Where you coming from? Anyway. So Sparkle's written a book. So my definition of a leader is someone who has accomplished something or overcome something or done something in their life, and then they kind of reach back and help others do the same or work things through or just encourage others to do what they got to do. And Sparkle is definitely one of those people. Oh, it's Denrich. All right, Denrich Sananda. How you doing? Peace out. Sparkle says hi too.
Hello.
So I know it doesn't sound like it at the start of the show, but you do most of the talking. But basically, what this show is about, I know it's the journey. I'm kind of the curator and of the Sparkle Lindsay journey to how you discovered your passions and your purpose, and then we'll talk about how you live them every day. And then I have I'm not sure how good they are, but I downloaded the front and back cover of your book, so we can show that at the end. Because at the end, you get to do self-promotion.
Yes, gotcha.
Or shameless self-promotion.
Shameless.
And then you end with like kind of any advice or whatever for anybody. So tell us a little about yourself in the context of, what are your passions? How did you think you discovered them? And what your purpose is and how you discovered that?
Well, my name is Sparkle Lindsay. I am a motivational speaker, keynote speaker, author, and nationally certified recovery coach for alcohol and addiction. So that is what I do, and I love it. I love every piece of what I do now. It wasn't always that way, but I have in my life for 36 years, I've always been a leader of some sort. One of the biggest portions of being a leader was being an athlete in college and being the captain of many teams and just really having that team camaraderie that I learned at an early age, how to create a team, how to be a part of that team, and how to win. And so as a leader, that's what stuck with me for my entire life. No matter what, speech and debate, I was the captain of speech and debate, and we were going to win. Okay.
All right. We'll just call you Captain Sparkle.
Yeah, that was it. Captain Sparkle at the time, right? Little did I know that I was creating my passion all along. And I have had a lot to go through, my journey as far as alcohol and addiction. Yesterday, I celebrated, or actually Saturday, 2 years and 4 months sober. So, man, talking about being a leader and stepping up to work on the things that I never thought I would work on,
exactly.
Where I am right now is like the greatest part of being a leader is being able to find where you went wrong or what you didn't know and turn it into a positive. And so,
I don't think anybody, grows up going, what I'm going to be when I grow up, I'm going to be an addict.
Exactly. I think today I'm going to drink a lot,
Yeah.
So, through that, I also was an executive for three big box companies, J.C. Penney's, Kohl's, and King Soopers, which is Kroger. And I learned everything, like training. I learned how to train groups, lots of people, and figure out where they fit in the company's puzzle.
Mhm.
So now being able to, work for myself, which is Sparkle LLC, the light at the end of the tunnel, I'm able to actually pinpoint one person versus, millions of people in a store setting and help them figure out where they fit in their puzzle. And so all along, I've been gearing up to train others to be great at what they want to be great at. And I finally had to take a step and look and say, am I being great at what
All
I
right.
want to be great at? Right. Like,
Yeah.
so my passion has always been to help others help themselves be great. And I had to go back to the drawing board and help myself become great. And I feel like I'm on that journey and on that path, and that it's one step at a time, but it's actually the journey that is worth it. And being able to show others that, like, I'm human. So at this point,
What?
I'm human, I'm a leader, and I'm able to step up to the plate when things are not right, fix them for
Yeah.
myself first, right? And then
Yep.
from there, let it take its course. So that's kind of where I've been in my little 2 years of journey and just growing and becoming a better leader by having the courage to actually say, hey, I need help. Standing up as that advocate, as a leader, to say, I'm not okay.
Right.
And how am I going to get better?
Right.
That's the strength there. That's the excitement about this.
That's cool. So a lot of people, they look, like, I just wrote a post on this, but they look for similarities to connect, even though it's the differences, I think, that make life interesting. So you mentioned that you were captain of many sports and the debate team.
Mhm.
So can you just name the sports? Because maybe someone's in that sport and then they're like, oh, Sparkle
Yeah,
was in this too. I can do it. You know what
I
I
can
mean?
do it. Ha ta ta.
Yeah.
Well,
Ta ta ta. I like it.
so I played softball, volleyball. I ran track and I played basketball.
All right,
So
there you go. I
so
think it
there
was
was that.
movement. So if you do any of those things, you have a commonality. You can do it too.
Yes.
That's what I should say.
And if you are a martial artist, so I am a black belt in Taekwondo.
Oh,
Um,
cool.
and I got my black belt at the age of 13.
Whoa.
Yeah, so I've had it for a while, and now obviously I jump into a lot of stuff holistically, quantum Reiki and things like that, just to keep
Yeah.
myself grounded. So those are areas to be leaders in as well, because a lot of healers, heal. They help heal everybody else but themselves sometimes,
Oh,
and
yeah.
so with all of it, it's a matter of being able to not so much heal ourselves, but yes, help ourselves first so that we can continue to heal others and lead others.
Yeah. Between my internship and my practice, I practiced 5 to 6 years psychotherapy. Um,
Hmm.
and the place I was with, and I think most places do this too, but it was, you had to have like one of the people in your group be your therapist, and you had to meet with them at least once a week just
Oh
to get
yeah.
all your stuff out. So you don't
Yes.
take on, it's really easy when you're a healer to take on other people's crap.
And it's
And if
well,
you
as
don't let it go on, you're just like, what's wrong with you? I talked to 7 people and I got all their crap in me.
and that's what, because I train recovery coaches now.
Yeah.
And a big portion, I train recovery coaches now, by the
Yeah.
way. So a big portion of that is allowing
Just
people,
by the way.
yeah.
And by
But
the way, you can put like any sentence of doing something great and then go, Sparkle said,
by the
dot, dot,
way,
dot, and I do any of this, by the way. So yeah.
but the training of recovery coaches is so important to me. I think I went from, crazy thing, Mark, is I went from, just trying this stuff out, just starting from zero again,
Right.
like having nothing again but me, just me. And
Right.
then figuring out, like, what makes me tick, what makes me happy.
Right.
And along that journey, me making myself happy, I mean, and falling in love with myself has been huge by learning more about myself, right? But then I started thinking, I'm like, if I'm going to be recovery coaching people,
Yep.
I better make sure I got my stuff right, because I don't want to have a relapse too,
Yeah,
and they
no
have
kidding.
a relapse, and now we just
No, here's a photo of Sparkle messing up.
exactly.
What?
So the whole thing about being a better me for me,
Yeah,
the legs to my table, which is a big portion of the next book that's
yeah,
coming out. I have a village of people who keep me in line as well. And I
right.
feel like if we don't create that for ourselves, we're going out on a slippery slope. We
Yeah,
can't help people if we're not able to consistently help ourselves, you know? And I think a lot of times we get so wrapped up and we get sucked into other people's lives that we forget we have our own to focus on. And that's when we get outside ourselves. And that for me could be when relapse may happen. So
right.
teaching other leaders, other trainers, training other people who want to be recovery coaches to have a village is so important, because we don't want to lose people by other people helping. We want
Right,
everybody,
exactly.
you know?
Yeah. So when you said you discovered yourself in
Yeah.
order to, recover. So the question is, when you discovered yourself, was it a rediscovery, or did you discover new purposes and passion, or you had the similar ones before? It's just you lost yourself for a little while. And then when you said, hey, enough of this, and rediscovered yourself, it was the same ones. It's just somehow you lost touch with them, or
No,
both.
it was all these accolades, and I don't even know who I am.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Like this, wait a
People
minute.
don't realize that. People don't realize that.
I was like, who who is Sparkle?
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
literally, I think I might have cried for about 3 hours. Like,
Yeah.
there's so much work to be done, because, I came from the corporate structure where I was taught. It was almost like I was a robot. Like,
Right.
I was an autopilot, Mark. You know what I mean? Now I'm like, I never even liked some of that stuff.
Right.
Like,
Exactly.
I didn't
Yeah.
like
You
that.
made you made a living. You made a
Yeah.
living.
I
Go
made
make a
a
living.
living, I made a lot of money, but at the
Yeah.
same time, I just was not happy. And so being able to, like, when I first started, I was like, well, what am I going to do? I don't want to go back to corporate, you
Right.
know. So I guess I'll just go volunteer, figure out who I am and what I do. I remember feeling so, like, I don't know, I felt lifeless at that
Right.
point. I felt lifeless. I'm like 6 months sober, and I'm just like, the only thing I know is alcohol and addiction. The only thing I know, and I said, I got to figure out me. So I went on ahead and I pulled a list for ages for women 30 to 50. And I pulled a list of all the things that we do. And I just started going down the list. So I went and did some jazzercising. I went and did some sculpture
Exercise.
to figure out what I liked, and I found so many different things I love to do, and I love to do them sober. So I had to reintroduce stuff that I was doing when I was drinking and stuff. I also had to reintroduce it while sober.
Oh
And
yeah.
so now and then setting the boundaries, the yes and the no's, and that, it's a complete sentence. So for me, it was like reinventing this person named Sparkle that I truly want to be. Not what others think I should be, but who I want to be, and what I'm deserving of, and what I'm entitled to. Right. And I
Yeah.
had no clue what that was. And now, 2 years and 4 months later, I am falling more and more in love with myself every day. And I can only say that for the rest of my life, that's what I'll be doing. And I'm so happy to be a part of this body right here,
Yeah.
So
That's great. That's great. Well, I think something so important. I mean, for anyone who doesn't know they're an addict, because a lot of times people don't, or are, and they're recovering and they've started the journey. I think it's important, like you said, that you were 6 months into it, and then
yeah.
you're like, as we say in Chicago, I won't say it, WTF.
Yeah.
In other words, and and so people got to know, just because you started the journey, it ain't gonna be all roses.
Oh no, because let me tell you.
That's why they say day by day.
Yes, because at the 6-month mark, I was like this, I think that we've all had enough recovery. Don't you
Yeah,
guys?
exactly.
Have some drinks, you know? And the person next to me is like, no, no, Sparkle. This is forever. And I'm like, forever? Wait a minute. Wait. Did I sign up for this? You know? So in my workshop, Being a Better Me for Me, I talk about the different stages we go through. And at 6 months, 3 to 6 months, you're in that, do I really want to do
Oh,
this?
yeah, totally.
And in the 9 months, I was wanting to throw a fit. So like I was at this point where I was like, everybody around me can drink but me. I hate this.
Yeah.
Everybody can use but me. And that was when I really started realizing, so then if I'm noticing that everybody can drink around me, then what am I going to change? How am I going to change my environment so
Right.
that I don't see that type of stuff anymore? I did throw a fit though. It was on my 35th birthday and I threw a fit on the bed because I really was upset.
Oh, yeah, I can imagine.
You know?
Well, people, I mean, everybody's journey is different too, but
Yeah.
association is so important. I mean, I have a relative who was so, what's a good word? Overwhelmed that he moved like across the country. And then he moved across the world just to get away from the association. So hopefully he'll come back. I mean, to be with family, but he needed to do what he needed to do.
Yes, I actually left my ex-fiance, and I left everything there, and I moved an hour away. I left my family. My family's an hour away. I love them to death, but for me as an alcoholic addict, and just anybody who's dealing with addiction, period, triggers are wild. And sometimes we have to know what triggers we're willing to deal with and, you know, what triggers we're not. And so for me, being able to figure out exactly who needs to be in my life at this time, I can't control that, but I can have control over me. I can place myself in a safe spot to continue getting sober, to continue moving forward and focusing on the things I can and the courage to change the things I can with me. And if I'm able to do that piece, everything else will fall into place. It will be, you know, but that whole day-to-day thing for me, I live by. And the reason why is because I can't push and pull against the universe, and I'm not going to.
Right.
And my levels of surrender for myself and for people it's becoming so big. You know, my levels of compassion. So, you know, like it's like these different levels we hit in the inside of us that just really fumigate out to others, and it becomes infectious if we're really focusing on that, you know? Is it bad? Yeah. Is it bad to cut an addict out of your life because they don't want to change? No. I can say that I think a lot of times what we do, Teresa, a lot of people enable the addict by keeping them around. And so what we have to understand is that it is a full growth process for everybody that is involved with the addict. Okay. So even like parents, you know, my dad and my mom, they love me to death. My dad wanted to wrap me up and put me in the basement and tell me to stop. He told me that. He said, I will wrap you up and put you in bubble paper and put you in the basement. I said, okay, Dad, you know, but he loved me so much that he could have, and we have to be careful with loving the addict, myself to death. To death, literally kill us. Right. So at this point, it's important to know when you no longer can help that person and you've got to let them find it out on their own. The only way I got sober is by knowing that I was ready to make those steps. Anybody could have told me, Sparkle, you better go get help. And I would have looked at them and said, you ain't gonna tell me nothing. As soon as I started realizing that everything around me was just like awful, you know, like I couldn't do this cycle again and again and again. I was like, I got to get me some help. And it was like I was by myself, but I needed to be. So the hardest part is cutting out the addict and then making sure that you stay cutting out the addict. Don't keep letting the addict come back in and then cutting them out and come back in. That right there is where people get sick. That's where people don't make it, because
Right.
it's too much of a slippery slope. You got to make the decision and let it go. And if it's meant to be, that addicts will come back,
Right. And it's not that you're responsible or accountable.
No.
Because it is their thing, but you're just being responsible and accountable to yourself. And I want to apologize to Teresa because she got on me about not creating event pages. So I'm going to start doing that. I didn't do it for this one, Teresa. Sorry, but you're here, so it worked anyway. Anyways, let's see. She has another question.
What do you do when other family members try to make you feel guilty for being done with that person? Well, first things first, that's their problem. Okay, so let me, sorry, that's just the way I feel about it. So here's the thing. Each of us have our own journeys, Teresa, okay, including the parents or the spouses or the brothers and sisters of alcoholic addicts, okay? So unfortunately, everybody gets stuck in the cycle of the addict. And when the addict leaves to go get help or whatever it may be, the family stays the same instead of working on themselves too. So Teresa, you're doing all of the right things, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everybody else understands that. So it's important that when you have somebody that's in addiction, you guys take classes. There's certain classes for parents and spouses and so forth called CRAFT. They're classes to help you start working on you, because you have to be able to learn how to deal with the mind of an alcoholic addict. The problem is everybody thinks, the family, everybody thinks that once the addict gets help, we're going to be great. But what about all the stuff you went through with that addict? You're still holding on to that as well. So my training class, the Peer Recovery Coach Academy, is also, recovery coaches can also be spouses, parents, and all of that as well, where they learn the training and how to recovery coach the parents of alcoholic addicts. So if you have lived experience and you start learning how to self-love yourself, you can figure out how you played a part in that addict's life and how you're playing a part in your own life. Self-reflection for everyone in the picture is good. So,
well, I mean, aren't there so there's Alcoholics Anonymous, there's Narcotics Anonymous, there's all these anonymouses for the addicts, but there's also ones for children of alcoholics,
and that's
spouses of alcoholics, spouses of addicts.
Al-Anon, which is a big one. Al-Anon, Latin. But now, modern day wise, you have craft classes, which give you a course to
What's
work.
craft stand for?
I
don't matter. I'll just put it up with capitals.
KRAFT.
Oh, it's KR. I got it wrong.
KRAFT. And a lot of it is a modern day way where other parents, other siblings all come together. They have them through Zoom, everything else. And they're able to help the family members and so forth start working on themselves. Right. So usually I'll get someone like Teresa. You'll come to me and say, hey, my brother is not doing well and we want to get him help. And the first thing I will say to you is, unfortunately, your brother is not here. I cannot give him help until he's ready, but I can give you and help you and get you some help as well. So I also recovery coach parents, alcoholic addicts, the siblings, so forth, family members, because you have to start working on you now, and you've got to let the addict go so the addict can start working on them. And together, just like a relationship, together you guys are working on your journeys, but you're not codependent with your journeys. So that's important to know, because you become a strong force when you do it that way, versus codependently trying to enable the addict to do what you want them to do.
Right. And as is true with all, she said exactly. So as is true with all shows where Teresa and Sparkle are involved, we go down a different path. So yes. I want to say, so the show is about finding your passions and purpose and going to leaders. So this is unique. So it's probably the first time it's happened. I think it's the 30th show. Is it 30th or 31st? Anyways, Sparkle is demonstrating her passion and her purpose instead of talking about it. So that's kind of cool. Yeah. And so I shout out, but I wanted to revisit one thing. I think it's really important. At least I think it's important. You might go, poo-poo, Mark, you don't know the thing. Anyway,
Everything's important. Stop it. Let me
well,
hear.
no, when you talked about surrender, I think one of the main reasons people go, you got hit bottom. I do not believe, having been a counselor, of course, my focus was sexually abused children. So that's totally different story. But the abusing people usually have some similarities with addicts because there's something missing in them. Anyway, but that's not what I want to talk about surrender, because most people say, you hear it all the time. Oh, hey, addicts have to hit bottom in order to recover. I think that's bullshit. And I think the reason it happens though is because people equate surrender with weakness. And so
Yeah.
there we go. So where did I leave?
I started going. I was about to just.
No, that's okay. That's fine. Something's weird with my internet. I mean, it's really high speed, but then every once in a while it just drops out in the middle of stuff.
Yeah.
So what were you saying? And then
you were talking about
surrender, and people see it as weakness.
Yes, surrender. You were talking about people seeing surrender as weakness. That's right where we were. Yes.
Right, which is why I think people wait until they bottom out.
Well, I think
because they see it as weakness, but it's not weakness. It's actually a strength, in my opinion.
Right. Because here's the thing. When you finally realize that you're surrendering, you're finally realizing that you're human and you need help. And the issue comes down to that whole surrender piece is way bigger than any type of ego, but our ego gets in the way. We could talk about ego all day, and you know that, Mark. So a big portion is rock bottom is BS. When you are, yes, Teresa, when you're ready to go, you could be ready to do something at any time. You don't have to hit a bottom in order to, fix it. The issue is, are you willing and do you have the courage to find out that and to be honest with yourself and say, something's not right with me. See, that's the surrender. I need help with something here because it's not right. And the big issue comes down to a lot of people can't do that. That was a big portion of being a better me for me. The book I wrote is all self-reflective. Looking at yourself every day in the mirror and asking you how you feel is not an easy thing to do, but it's the beginning of starting your new legacy or what you want to be, because you're actually getting underneath all the non-authenticity that we have. Feel the authenticity in your, the throat chakra and so forth. If you're being you and speaking your truth, then your surrenders, the layers just start to peel off and it gets deeper. But if you're walking around surface level, you got to ask yourself those questions. Why?
Right. Well, don't you think, to me, one element of addiction and life, actually, people have trouble with this, is being present. Because I think it was, what is she going by now? She goes by her full name now, Amy Red Cloud. But that's she's rebranding. So, but she put out a thing about the difference between real and authentic, and which is the right buzzword. And I basically said, neither should be buzzwords. It's a lot of time when people say I am being this, they're not. Dude, like going, I'm being real, they ain't being real. Or I'm being authentic, they ain't being authentic. But to me, the key, and I'm asking your opinion, so this is my opinion, is being present. You got to be present, and that's how you recover. That's how you even admit you're an addict, being present. And sometimes addiction and just like your job, I think not being present has them behave in a way, and then they get divorced from themselves, and then they just get more miserable, and that leads to a funnel, downward spiral.
Exactly, a downward spiral. I think spiral. I think for me, it's being in the conscious mind is what I love so much. Subconscious is where my addict brain is.
Mhm.
Then the addict brain is always trying to get in. It's always trying to create chaos and anxiety and an overwhelming feeling, therefore making me feel like if I throw things into chaos, I have a reason to use. And
Right.
so you'll see a lot of us sabotage our sobriety that way. No matter what the addiction is, we
Right.
will do it when we hit that cycle of it's time to use again, right? So if you stay conscious though and focus on every hour, every minute, every second, because that's all we have anyway, right? It completely shuns or blocks that subconscious addict out. It's a practice though, because right now you've allowed your shadow person, your subconscious to take over for so long that you have become autopilot. You have not become, you're not real, you know? And so for me, it was really starting to feel again and recognizing that I feel and that it hurts sometimes and that I'm sad sometimes and that it's okay, right? But we weren't always taught that. And I wasn't, you know, as a kid, I was always taught like we cry for a little bit and then we fix it.
Right.
And that was I was taught because, you know, even just being an African American woman, it was like we were always trying to survive, you know, and you know, at this point, I'm okay with surviving, but I know that if I survive for me, I have more clarity in the moves I need to make next. But that is all a form of sitting with myself and figuring out where I fit for me,
Right.
you know, and it takes a little time. It's going to take a lot of time for everyone and just speaking with yourself, giving yourself grace, you know, being open and honest with yourself and laughing at yourself a little bit. Like, I know I'm a real piece of work. I know I didn't just do that because I do it all the time, you know, and then being okay with that. And I think whoever loves the most, whoever feels the most, they win this day and age.
Yep.
It's important, you know?
Yeah, it's really important. The what was I gonna say? I don't know.
But yeah, the layers of the layers of surrender are important, and people do. They establish surrender with weakness.
Yeah,
And
it's not.
yeah, and they, you know, like even in movies, it's like when people make people say mate, you know, it's like they're surrendering, like, oh, I got conquered. And I don't like that. You know what I mean? I think that we build that strength around like we can't quit, you know, or
Right.
we can't. And I'm not saying quit, but I'm saying maybe adjust it a little differently so that you wouldn't be in this position in the first place.
Right.
Where you have to say mate, right? Maybe this isn't your specialty.
Yeah, exactly. Well, that's why. Have you ever heard of Eric Edmeades?
No, I haven't.
He's like the CEO of crap, Fit something. That's where he made his money. But he does motivational speaking and he trains in business and stuff. But basically, his primary thing in the business. I took his business course. It was amazing. But he's talking about you need to get in touch with yourself. And guess what? There's all these things that need to happen in a successful business.
Mm-hmm.
And you ain't gonna like all of them. So you gotta figure where your joy is. And yeah, you're a solopreneur. You got to do it all.
Yes.
But then as you build, you need an exit plan and you need to figure out what are the parts of my business I will always love and I want to do myself. And then you hire others to do it. So like, for example, Teresa, someday I'm going to hire you as a producer when I can afford you. Because this is the part of the show I like, is talking to the guests and you know, having fun, having conversation, and doing the reason I haven't done the event pages. I know, sorry, this is a little side. The reason I haven't done the event pages is because I don't like them. So, but Teresa said she's a hot mess. Guess what? We all are. That's the secret.
That's the fun part.
You just got to laugh at yourself. I laugh at myself every day too.
Right, because the big piece is I think a lot of us feel like we got to cover that hot mess. What for?
Oh yeah,
we are. That's us here in the first place, is trying to be this perfectionist that is unrealistic. Let's be real here. It's progress over perfection. Versus and in the corporate world, for me, it was like, we need to have this done. We got to have this done. We need to be prepared for the next 2-3 months. Oh my goodness. Even when I talk about it right now, it gives me chills. I'm like, what the heck? was I doing?
Right. Well, in corporate America, I always need a champion because
Yeah.
I'm kind of a goof and I believe you can have fun and be serious and get things done.
Yeah.
And we got to have fun. The fun doesn't exist. You might as well start the clock, because if I continue to have fun, I'm going to be gone pretty soon.
Right.
As soon as I find something else. But I've always had, well, I've been lucky and have a champion many times, and they like not necessarily protect me. But if I do something goofy and then laugh at myself in corporate America, which is not allowed.
Yeah. Right.
And they'll be like, hey, he gets things done. He's got the work done. Yeah. So anyway, sorry
So
for
I
that
think
aside.
that
Going with the string of thought.
I think
Here
that
on our shows, we have fun. We just go stream of consciousness. What is this show about again? I don't know.
you're like, goofiness. I don't know. No, but really and truly, as a leader, I believe that like a lot of the teams that I ran, I had a fun time with them because they found out where they fit. They had a great time and it was fun. I just didn't like. For me, I didn't like the things that I allowed as far as, the overworking myself and doing those things.
Yeah.
Corporate America I did great in it. That's fine. But honestly, pink slips for laughing. But
come near the comic sellings of Tracy. Woo!
but honestly,
I didn't mean to snap that one. Sorry, I tried to.
I'm like, she's feeling like she's a hot mess all day today. Anyway.
No, I accidentally tapped. I was trying to hide. Anyway.
Honestly,
and that's why I need a producer. Because if I had a producer, mistakes like that would not happen. Anyway.
So honestly, I feel like we had so much fun though. Like I ran remodels, all of those things. But when it came down to it, the festering anxiety I was holding on to was ridiculous because I was the leader and I wanted to have fun with my team, but I knew we had to get something done. So I was always constantly trying to be creative to get to the end result, which was I wanted it to be amazing and I wanted them to feel that amazingness, right? But all in all, I wasn't talking with a therapist. I wasn't doing any of those things. So that festered anxiety was just sitting there. So my way to release was go home and have some drinks, do some cocaine, call it a day, stay up late and do it all over again.
Yeah. And like our friend, you've been on Rob Berry's show, right? Is that where I missed?
Not yet.
Oh, you haven't?
I'll be on it soon.
Rob, corporate quitters, let's go. Get on there now. Anyway.
I just signed it. I just got one set up for him.
You did? Okay. I think that'd be a great show. But to me, a lot of people blame corporate America and corporations in general. I'd say 99.9% of the time, corporations are inanimate, impersonal, bodily structure of a business.
Yeah.
Suck you dry. It doesn't, it's not a vampire. It doesn't intentionally suck you dry. It's just, it's there to make money and do things. And so if you allow it, most people allow it. And that's the problem. People don't put boundaries. Most of corporations do not have boundaries. So when you're dealing in a relationship, whether it's an entity like a corporation or a person, and they don't have boundaries, it is messy and they can suck you dry. It's just like that codependent thing Sparkle was talking about. Without boundaries, boundaries are very important. And like the conversation between you and Teresa earlier, that's just setting boundaries. It's like, you know what? This addict is not doing it, and now they're sucking me dry. I'm like, now, time out. See you later. Want to be you.
And then also with the family members who don't agree with her. Well, that's really not her problem. That's their problem. Like, honestly, there's going to be people who in your family that are disagreeing with you, Teresa, that don't have boundaries either. And so with so you have to think about the people you're around that don't know how to set boundaries for themselves and see why they're so upset about the things you're doing to set boundaries for yourself, because everybody's different. And so some people find they want to be that enabler, then be that enabler. But I'm not going to be.
Right.
Because now if I'm the enabler, now I'm exhausted, living the life of an alcoholic addict. And then that's what I say. When you're in corporate America, okay, you chose to say, hey, I'm going to sign up for this and I'm going to be an executive and I'm going to work however many hours I want. Now, you don't have to do that. You don't have to do anything. None of us do. But a lot of times we get into these situations where, our bosses may say you're the greatest or you're really good at what you do, and they beef you up and they make you
Oh,
feel
yeah.
we're going to win today. Even though you're exhausted as can be, you can easily say, yeah, not today. Y'all can win on your own because I'm going to go to sleep.
Right.
Okay. Or we can say, I have to do this, which is where we keep this mentality in our mind and where ego steps in and we're unable to surrender and say, yeah, I've already worked 10 hours today and that's over my time limit, period. Right. Because we don't want to disappoint someone. Okay. But honestly, we're disappointing ourselves with the lack of sleep and the rest because we don't have boundaries. So now here we are thinking we're these great leaders, but in our reality, we don't have boundaries. We haven't been working on ourselves. And then we wonder why we're exhausted and we're going to different substances and things to make sure we're okay. Because we allowed ourselves to not work on ourselves, not do anything, but allow others to tell us what we're going to do. So if you are an executive right now who feels like work-life balance is an issue, then you need to step outside of yourself for a minute, step outside of the business you're in, write down the things that you're doing that you don't really need to do.
Right.
Not everything revolves around you fixing things or having to do things for others. Figure out what others can do and go get yourself some rest and spend time with yourself so that when you come back, you can give the abundance of your cup, not all of your cup.
And especially if you're espousing to the people you're leading work-life balance, because that drives me nuts. I've had so many people tell me, yes, well, here on this company, we believe in work-life balance. And then they're working 90 hours. And they're thinking about it all weekend long. I'm like,
right.
You're not living it.
my first, this is how I knew I wasn't going to work with this recovery coaching organization. There was one that I was and I wasn't. Right. I literally was like sitting there and there was this lady who was like, Sparkle, we really want you to come on. We want you to be a coach for us. Hold on. She's on her phone. And then next thing you know, she's like, oh my God. And then she's like, I got to take these. And I was like, oh, this is stressing me out. I was like, you know what? No, I don't think I want to work for you. I said to her, I am a woman who truly believes in self-care. I am a recovery coach that puts self-care in someone else's routine. You will not have me on the phone like this lady trying to coach people, telling them self-care is important. And when I said that, her response was this. Oh, yeah, I wish I had self-care. Yep, not doing this one. Must be nice. I was like, wait a minute. I'm not
getting. Isn't that where you're going to hire me for?
Wait a minute. Self-care is the biggest part of our recovery coaching routine. And she's like, it would be nice if I had that. Okay, so Sparkle's not doing this.
Sparkle, don't play that.
Yeah, I said, wait a minute. So if I start talking about self-care now, she gonna be mad because she don't believe in self-care and we're recovery coach. No, that I'm a pass. But those are the things that help me know, boundaries being set. I want to work for myself so that I can pick my self-care, pick when I go to my meetings, pick when I do what I want to do for me, because that's how I keep my cup full, right? And my cup is this full body. So anything that flows over that cup, and I say it all the time, that is the overabundance I'm willing to give you. But other than that, everything I have, I need for me,
So, the boundary thing, I'm going to say something and then I want to hear the sparkle. So in my opinion, when I was a therapist and as a parent, dog owner, etc., my biggest job and responsibility is to teach boundaries. So like in addiction, it's a process. Grieving's a process. So if someone's going through that, you got to coach them through that. But for most humans, once they've handled that stuff, teaching boundaries is so very important because that can handle most everything. What do you think about
that? Yes, I believe in my book, it says no, period. It's a complete sentence. And I asked the question, do you have internal and external boundaries? internal boundaries with yourself, external boundaries. A prime example I always give a lot of my clients and just people in general is I remember dealing with a friend who was having a relationship problem. Okay. And she called me, of course, right?
Mhm.
And I'm like, what do you need me to do? Okay, I'm on my way over. Not even thinking about what my circumstances might be, because first things first, if she's getting into a fight with her husband or
Oh
whoever,
yeah.
what am I going to do? Number one. Number two, I'm on probation. These are the things I didn't think of.
Right,
Okay.
right,
So
right.
now I'm going over there. If the police get called, they got to pull my info too.
Right,
And then number three, are they really arguing and are they really fighting? Or is this going to be a situation where tomorrow everything's going to be okay?
right.
And immediately I went over there and I'll never forget it. I went over there, police got called, they ran my information, they almost took me in. And the next day, those two were sitting there on the couch, lovey-dovey, loving each other. Now, the way that should have went is, okay, well, let me go on ahead and call a wellness check over to the house. That
Right,
was what I should have done, and
right,
then stayed at home because
right,
my boundaries were, I got to go save, I got to go help, I
right,
got to fix. But then I didn't think about myself. Now you can hear it all the time. Okay, well, there's fighting over there, or there's something not okay. Well, you guys let me know how it goes, and then
right.
if you need my help, otherwise, if you end up in jail or whatever, you give me a call. But other than that, I will not be there. That is the hardest thing for people to do,
Yep.
whether you're in addiction or not. Being able to realize that it ain't got nothing to do with you,
Right.
and standing there and pausing for a second, like, now, how can this really go down?
Yep.
Am I going to end up being the one that's in trouble?
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, you
So,
want to hear like a really good brain fart with
yeah.
respect to boundaries? Okay, so I think it's like 20 years now, 20 or so years ago. I was like really, really, really good friends. I don't know if I was their best friend of both partners in a couple. And the I won't give much details. They'll know who they are if they ever watch the show, but we're not friends anymore, and you'll see why. So the husband was found someone else, and he wanted a divorce, and the wife was clueless about it, and I didn't feel it was my responsibility to tell her, etc. But smooth fucker that he is, he talked me into serving her their divorce papers.
Oh,
And here's how he did it. He was very manipulative. He leveraged my love for her and said, so wouldn't it be good? Because this is going to be unexpected. It's going to hurt her. And then one of her best friends, wouldn't it be good for one of her best friends to be, I know, dumb me though. And I did it. I lost both his friends.
Yeah.
But that was like, and immediately afterwards, I'm like, what the,
I got played. Yeah.
I do it.
I got
so dumb.
Like the worst part in the world is when you're finally at that moment that you just said, and you got played.
Yeah.
And then you lost your good friend too. And so like it comes down to like something even as specific as like your day off. And then somebody calls you and says, hey, my car's broke down. Can you give me a ride to such and such to get it fixed to do so on your day off? And so out of everything, you're just being nice. But this whole getting somebody's car fixed could last all freaking day long.
Yeah, no kidding. Yeah.
And now you come back home. It's 7:00 at night. You haven't done anything you want to do. You're upset because you're the one that said yes.
Right.
Okay. And then at the same time, you look up and you ain't even got no gas in your gas tank. And now it's time to go to work tomorrow. And those boundaries could have easily been set by, I actually have things I have to do today. Here's a few resources to help you. But it's difficult for somebody to do that. They got to be the captain and go fix everything. And then
and guess what? When you start doing that other person's going to be so mad at you. But that's their stuff. That's not your stuff. That's their stuff.
Exactly. That is staying in your lane and understanding what serves a purpose for you and what doesn't. You are not everybody's keeper. You cannot keep people's stuff. You have to be able to say, unfortunately, today I already have some things that I set up. but here's a few things that can help you. I will see you later.
You got to be hardcore too.
I'm out.
When I did a suicide hotline. Is that what they call them? Support line. Hotline sounds bad. Hey, suicide hotline.
Yeah, I'm like
suicide support line.
The crisis.
They call in. And
Yeah.
the training, I did the training eventually, but the initial training was, the question you're supposed to ask them to see if they're serious.
Have
you ever done it?
Yeah. And
no. Have you ever done suicide?
I have the questions. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm. So audience, hold on, it's pretty intense. But you go, when did you decide to die? How are you going to do it?
Yep.
You have those materials. You're getting into the nitty gritty. And if they have answers in question, you immediately contact 911 and go, hey, this person's serious. And if they're not, they're reaching out and you talk to them and yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
In fact, what's really cool, I think it's in Denmark. It's one of those Scandinavian countries, but they have one of the most successful cancer treatment centers. And they have an intake process. And one of the core of their intake process is they ask the question, when did you decide to die? And if the person applying to get in answers anything other than, I didn't decide to die, that's why I'm here.
Right.
They don't take them in. Because half the battle is.
Yep. The mental. Mm-hmm.
The emotional. So, yeah.
Yeah. The emotional. That's helping them plan their plan.
No, it's to see if they have are you talking about the suicide thing?
Right. Because
actually, no, you're finding out if they are down the way. You're not helping them.
Right. Because most of the time, if someone has a plan, we need to call 911.
Yeah. And you don't ask, by the way, if the early questions are negative, you don't keep going. Because otherwise, then you would be helping plan their plan.
Right.
Oh, well, checklist. How are you doing?
So
when are you going to do it? Where are you going to do it?
Right.
But if they have the answers to questions, you're not helping them. They already have the plan.
Yes.
And then you go, oh, crap, they're serious. 911.
Exactly. Yeah. So there's like a whole process. I remember that.
But it was intense when I first did it. I'm like, holy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I remember.
You could ask people that question.
Right. I remember the first time I had to deal with that too. My heart was like beating, like I was
like, holy crap.
Snap. We got to get on the phone,
Yeah, I was like, holy crap. Okay.
Yes, I think.
Oh yeah, leave it to Sparkle and Mark. We're joking about a suicide.
Right.
Line, anyway.
At the same time, I feel like we had to learn how to I learned a lot of that when we were doing telephone recovery support for alcohol and addiction, because a lot of times we have that call that says that, I've also had some people who have, I had a client actually who called and said that she wanted to take her life. She called to one of her therapists and said it, and ended up, in the psych ward.
Right.
And then when she got out, she was like, Sparkle, I should have just called you and had coffee. I said, well, that's why I'm here as your recovery coach, just in case. That's why I'm here, so that you don't have to spend those long weeks. I said, if you truly feel that way, then I understand. But she goes, I need to not do stuff like that. So there's some when people make, and for me, I will make a call. I am not going to play around with someone's life. So I will make a call for someone to come take care of you. I will not play those games. And I don't, as soon as someone says I'm ready, I'm going to take my life, I ask those questions. If it happens, I'm not playing games with someone talking to me. If you want to talk to me and talk it through and vent or do whatever, I'm here. But when it comes to taking your life, I don't play games like that,
Yeah. I mean, and just for the people out there, you do talk to them, but you alert the people around you to call 911 and you try to keep them on the phone.
Exactly.
To save the person's life. Yeah.
Yes. Keep it going. Keep the conversation going.
Yeah.
It's a very intense feeling,
And by the way, you need a therapist when you're doing that.
Yeah. Yes. Which is another reason
therapists need therapists. Recovery coaches need recovery coaches.
Which is another reason why I said my village is my sober warriors are strong, because when things like this happen after you get off the phone.
Oh yeah, you got it.
Or the thought, someone asked me, how did I someone asked me about how I felt. I lost a client to fentanyl recently. And fentanyl is this huge thing that's going on, right? Big drug.
Yeah.
And I lost the client. And a lot of people don't realize that, I am still in recovery as well. I
Right.
am a leader. Okay. But losing that client, and knowing that only 20% of us make it through this addiction, 80% don't, it doesn't change permanence, it doesn't change death. And so being able to make sure that right after, I call my therapist, I have my mentors, people who are looking out for me, because that person was 6 months sober and decided to take something that they thought was a pill, a Percocet 30, and instead it was a fentanyl, and they died instantly on the scene. Meaning that they had just made one simple thing that they thought would just be a relapse of a pill.
Right.
And then they could call me and say, "Hey, Sparkle, I relapsed." They didn't get that chance because they got
Yeah.
right. So to me, it's just really important that I was able to, and now able to, express that period. That just happened 2.5
Yeah.
weeks ago for me. But
Yeah.
knowing that in my heart, that this is where we're really at always. I just
Yeah.
know, and being able to cry, because I had to allow myself to cry and know that this is somebody I spent 6 months with,
Yep.
and um, allow myself to feel it, because I
Yeah.
could once again be festering that anxiety and
Yeah. You got to
holding
grieve. It's a process, man.
exactly. And then before you know it, where am I at? In front of a liquor store. So recognizing these things as a leader and saying, I got to work through this now. And I got to continue to work through it so
Yep.
that I can continue to move forward and release it, is a huge portion of being a leader, holding
Yeah.
yourself accountable for those things, but loving yourself for the fact that you lost someone,
Yeah. No kidding.
Yeah.
That's probably a bad response. No kidding. When someone
Yeah.
asks,
No.
like, yeah, you gotta do the grieving process. I mean, to me, that's one of the, I mean, I didn't want my dad to pass so early in my life, but I had a lot of people. Actually, that 2-year period was pretty intense. I think there was like 5 people important to me that died in that period. So it was messy. I'm not saying I handled it very well, but I learned the grieving process then. And then I have a friend. I'm from Chicago, so I have a friend in Chicago. No one, to my knowledge, we're really good friends. To my knowledge, no one important to her in her life, she's the same age as me, has died. So I know that when that happens, she's going to need some help through the grieving process because she didn't learn it.
Right.
She's bad. This is a strength of surrender. And anyways, you know what point we're at? We're at the point of shameless self-promotion.
Yes.
So you wrote the book, or you just want to riff and rant?
I'll riff and rant.
Okay.
So you guys.
The
photo. So my name, once again, is Sparkle Lindsay, and all of my information is actually on sparklelindsay.com. My book, Being a Better Me for Me. I have Sparkle apparel as well. But the first thing I want to say is, if you are listening to this is live. If you feel that you need any help at this point in time, please call the Crisis Helpline Center for yourself and get some help. My door is always open. DM me, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, whatever it may be. But sparklelindsay.com is where everything is at. I have a lot of different Facebook engines. A big portion of, like I said, my book, Being a Better Me for Me, the workshops, the trainings I do are all on there. Overall, it's, I just say altogether, it's really, really important that as leaders, as executives, as healers, as athletes, whatever it is that you do that helps others help themselves, please help yourself first. I think a big portion of us holding ourselves accountable to take care of so many, it's important we take care of ourselves first. As I continue on my journey as an executive, and as I continue on my journey to helping people help themselves, I promise, and I give an oath to everyone that I'm talking to, live, not live, whoever, that I will always put myself first when it comes to my health, my sobriety, And when it comes to me being a better me for me. And so I challenge each and every one of you guys that are leaders to do the same so that we can move forward and we can help leaders or people who are up and coming leaders know that they come first so that they can keep their cup full and give the overabundance. And other than that, continue moving forward and learning more and more about themselves daily. And as I get going, I know that there's some hiccups along the way. And I know that there's going to be some things that I'm going to need some help with. But with others learning the same thing I'm learning as executives and so forth, it's going to be very important that we walk together. We walk strong together in taking care of ourselves and being people of many strengths and walking together to do so we can be better for ourselves.
I just want to take that in and take a breath because I usually end with an expression. But wow, did I capture that good enough?
Take care of yourselves. I challenge you guys to take care of yourself first so that you can keep your cup full and give the overabundance to others. Yes.
All right, cool.
So once again, I'm Sparkle Lindsay. I take care of leaders that are fighting through the depths of addiction, healers. So please don't hesitate to call me and check out my website, sparklelindsay.com.
And I'll put that on the
thing.
Thing. Yeah.
On the thingy.
On the thingy. So technical. Yeah, put that on the thingy with the sparklelindsay.com on the thingy. There we go. For all of you learning how to do technology and e-marketing, put it on the thingy.
Most people would be like, yeah, Mark, he put it on the thingy. You know he put it on the
thingy. Oh, gosh. So I don't even know if so hold on, but I'm going to do this was a lot of fun and educational, and I love your energy. I love everything about you. Thank you for coming on. And I end with this expression usually. Oh, where'd it go? Oh, now it's not coming on. Okay, what is going on? I'm having technical. Oh, you know what?
What? Oh, snap. So I'm back again. I have had so much fun on this live with Mark. I love the fact that we can discuss all these different things, alcohol and addiction, but mainly just being leaders, executives, so forth. And hopefully I gave you guys a little bit of some info just on the corporate America piece, allowing yourself versus saying you have to. Different things that we challenge ourselves to do. So like I said, challenge yourself to take care of yourself first so that you can keep your cup full and give the overabundance to others. And that's in the corporate America world. That's in life. The overabundance is key, and keeping yourself full is the other piece. That's the main piece.
Anyways, okay.
Teresa.
That was weird. I know. Oh, can you hear me though?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
I know. Get rid of this. Yeah, something went. Okay.
Oh, snap. Oh, hi.
Are you still here?
Yes, I'm still here.
Okay. I don't know what went wacky. That went wacky.
She said he just pooped his computer down, and she's like, oops, I mean, shut his computer down.
Yeah, what can I do?
Yes.
That was a good show. I mean, aside from the 3 times I dropped out.
It's okay.
But my fiance, she set up a room for me upstairs, so hopefully the connection in that room will be better. But the weird thing is the monitor that shows the speed and stuff, because I never went below 10 out of 10, so I don't know what's going on. I'll have to figure that out.
Well, I had a fun time. It's been a fun time.
Yeah, no, you're a great guest. So
yeah, it's been we talked about everything. Just the therapy piece to the just taking care of yourself piece to being a better you for you piece. So thank you, Teresa. You have any other questions, DM me, Teresa, because it sounds like you might be, or somebody is dealing with addiction and family members and everything else. And I'm definitely all about helping family members get through dealing with and helping at the same time, alcoholic addicts, but not overdoing it. Oof. overdoing it is lethal.
Oh, you know what? We're still live.
Oh, snap.
Oh, man.
So
All right. Thank you, Teresa, for taking. I didn't know, but she didn't have done that. It was okay. Anyway, everybody's like going, what are they talking about? They're talking about they're behind stage. Oh, that was a great show. Yeah, you're great too. We had fun. We talked about everything. Anyway, so now, Teresa, thank you for staying, and Jeanette for coming, and Denrich and all the other people that showed up.
Thank
I'm
you.
going to end the stream now, but we'll leave all of this. I know, right? I'm a professional. Anyway, so I'll end the stream, but hang on. Well, we're truly cutting off, and then we'll talk backstage. So that's the end of the show. Went a little long because we stayed on, and I didn't know. Yeah, that's why I need Teresa E as my producer.
I'm laughing so hard.
I know.